I think the number was 23 of them, or 20 plus games where they've played clutch minutes, which is you're within 5 points with 5 minutes left in the game. So it's just been, really a string of close games, back and forth games. And aside from really checking your heart function, it tests the mettle of a team, right? And in the beginning of the show, we talked about how offensively the Kings, there really are no more questions, right? I mean, offensively, as long as you're healthy, you're going to be one of the best offenses in the league. Right now, they're 4th in offensive rating. But defensively, we've seen the up and downs. They started bad. They got much better for 2-3 weeks. Then they were bad again. They're now 24th in the NBA in defensive rating. When you look at this team, right, roster construction, style of play, all of it, coaching staff, right now, Rami, we're not talking about what this team will be come March, April, but right now, January 11th, what is the ceiling in your eyes for this team in the Western Conference?
Is it crazy to say?
I love when he prefaces it with that.
I'm not going to turn around and look at JJ and Chris when I ask you this question.
Okay.
All right. Is it crazy to say the Western Conference Finals?
You're loco, man.
I can feel Kings fans losing their minds right now for you to even pose that.
Is that wild? Is that a wild question to ask?
JJ?
Is that a wild question to ask?
We can't hear JJ if JJ's responding to this.
I said you did say you didn't get enough sleep last night, right, Ronnie?
Yeah, last 2 nights, actually.
Well, I can see. I can tell. I would imagine to say you are a little loopy.
I don't think that's that crazy, man. Look at the West. Look at the West and how wide open it is. Now, they're not as good as Denver, and they're not as good as Memphis, okay? And I don't think that they're going to beat either one of those two teams in a 7-game series. But I wouldn't be shocked. And who's to say?
Wouldn't they have to get through one of them?
That was the point I was just about to make. Was that who's to say Denver and Memphis? I don't know how the seeding ends up. I don't know how the bracket ends up looking when we get to the postseason. Who's to say one of them doesn't take the other out before the Kings ever have to face one, and the Kings have sort of an easy, or I'm not going to say easy, but an easier path to the Western Conference Finals. I'd give them a shot. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat New Orleans, Dallas, the Clippers, the way Phoenix has played this year, the way Golden State has looked at times this year. There's not a playoff team in the West that I look at other than Denver and Memphis and go, the Kings aren't beating them in a playoff series. There just isn't. And that's today, Nick. I've made the point on a number of occasions that I think the Kings can get even better as they get more and more familiar with each other and gel and get more and more of the message that Mike Brown preaches and his coaching staff and everything else. And you see the defense improve and hopefully the roster improved by Monty McNair. I think they could even get better than they are right now. And I'm comfortable sitting here telling you today, I wouldn't be shocked if we were talking about the Kings in the conference semis or even the conference finals.
I think they could get through a playoff round, right? Like, I think right now I'm comfortable saying that I'd feel good about their chances of getting through a first-round matchup in the postseason. Beyond that, there are the intangibles of all of this. I just kind of start thinking of the teams you just named, right? Think about who plays on those teams. What's Luka's experience in big games? What is Kawhi Leonard's experience in big games? Devin Booker comes back healthy. You've got Booker, you've got Chris Paul, and Ayton. That team has made a run already the last couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. So you look around and you look at what those teams, what their experience is in the postseason, and there is absolutely zero debate that when you look at the Kings, they are entirely inexperienced in making runs and getting to the playoffs. And so the coaching staff isn't. Obviously, Mike Brown just won a championship last year with the Warriors. But I have no idea how a team is going to react when they get to the postseason for the first time as a collective unit. No clue. I have no idea.
And I'm not saying I know.
Of course.
But we're talking ceiling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what I'm saying is I'm comfortable saying their ceiling is to get through a playoff round because I'm not necessarily going to sit there and say, oh, the ceiling is the roof, MJ, and say they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals or the finals when I haven't seen these guys play in the postseason. Like De'Aaron Fox having a great year. He can continue to have a great year. he could continue to have a great career. But I don't know how he's going to respond and react the first time he's playing in an NBA playoff series. I have no idea. I know how Luka's going to show up. I know how Kawhi's going to show up.
You know how anybody else on that Dallas roster is going to show up.
Yeah, but you just need Luka, man.
I get that. I always go by the best player in the series is probably going to win the series.
But Rami, I would say yes, because we just saw it. We just saw them go to the Western Conference Finals.
So
they lost Jalen Brunson.
When you look,
potatoes.
Postseason and experience, and I'll go back to what I said. I need to see this team. Said this in the first hour somewhat. I touched on it. But to dig deeper into it, I need to see this team be able to stop people consistently.
For sure, yeah.
Because what happens is when you get into a playoff series, it gets more and more difficult game by game by game because teams are scouting you, and then they play you, and then they see the adjustments that you made to their adjustments. And every game you go deeper into a playoff run, it gets more difficult, right? It gets more difficult for the team because, hey, man, okay, they were maybe blitzing Fox late in the game. Now they're not blitzing Fox. And it's all of those little things. And it's this idea of defensively, if you can't come up with stops, because the best teams in the NBA, defensively, they are very sound. Look at last year. I mean, I think the four teams that were left standing in the conference finals, they were all top 5 or 6 defenses. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
So can this team come up with the stops in a postseason series, which is entirely different than doing it one night in the regular season?
Or can they get hot enough?
Oh, they can get hot.
I'm saying, can they just get hot enough that they, as I've said before, I don't think
just like average $130.
Yeah, I mean, not average $130. That's asking a lot, but average $120. Average, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just get on a heater at the right time.
I think it's a tall task because in the postseason, usually scoring goes down.
Again, we're talking ceiling. We're talking best case possibility is what we're talking about.
You've got your
here.
ceiling. I've got mine. I'm not trying to talk you out of yours. I'm just giving you reasons why I would say, look, if you ask me right now, winning a playoff round is kind of where I see this team's limit. I see this team's kind of ceiling, and they can make changes at the trade deadline. 2 months from now, if all of a sudden they're a top 15 defense and defensive rating, we could have another discussion. But right now, until they show me they can stop people with any kind of regularity, and with me having no idea how these guys are going to react. HB's been there, but you have so many young dudes. Keegan Murray, how's he going to react to his first NBA playoff series?
I'm not saying I'd pick him to win a series against anybody in the West other than Denver and Memphis. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked or surprised if they win a series against anybody in the West but Memphis or Denver. And if this happens, if they get to the Western Conference Finals, I'll tell y'all I told you so. And if it doesn't happen, I'll just cry sleep deprivation. That's all I'll do.
I don't like talking about the Kings in the playoffs when we're not even halfway through their season, but
they're going to be there.
If the Kings got drawn with the Dallas Mavericks, that would be an easy win for the Kings.
Mm.
They own Luka.
Listen to this guy.
Look at Chris.
Listen to this guy.
They own Luka.
They own him.
Luka
might go on the record with that.
Oh.
Let De'Aaron Fox get the gif of like, I'm the captain now. They play the Mavs. Looks at Luka. I'm the captain now. All right, your thoughts. Again, right now, what do you kind of see this team ceiling?